Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Wild Sri Lanka. This is part of the National Geographic series of wild location-based series and specials. This is actually from 2016, it says, and even though the year at the end said 2014, I don't know. But National Geographic put it out in 2016. It is a series, it's only 3 episodes. It is narrated by Paul McGann, and if you know that name, you know the Doctor. He is one of the doctors, or in a sense, I think he spent most of his career as a doctor doing the voice of the Doctor in audio broadcasts, but he did make a few significant appearances. Whenever I hear him speak, his voice is very calming. It's very sedate. I keep thinking he's going to break into the monologue from Nights in White Satin from the Moody Blues. It just feels like he's going to do that at any moment when he's talking about whales or deep sea fish and baby turtles and stuff. But yeah, that's actually what the first episode is all about. I've only watched 1 of 3, and the first one is Sea of Giants. It's basically all about the populations that live under the waters and are fed and grow and give back to the land. Sri Lanka, if you don't know, is an island off the coast of India. It's in the Indian Ocean, and it has its own unique. I don't know how. My brain is farting on the proper terminology. It's got its own ecosystem in a sense. It's sort of at the crossroads of so many different things. There's got monsoons all the time. The way the water flows around around the island is unique, creating nutrients. It rains a lot. It's usually raining, even though it's not a humongous island. It's usually raining at some point somewhere on the island, and it's got a mountain, and the water flows down through a path that most humans could never follow. And it goes back to the sea, and it gives nutrients and everything that the creatures of the sea need. Of course, feeding a lot of the animals on the land along the way. But of course, we'll get to that in other episodes. Well, we won't, but if you watch it, you'll understand. But for the most part, it's you get to see sperm whales. You get to see at the very end. They finish off with, spoiler alert, the blue whale, who has taken up residence there as compared to most other regions on Earth. It seems to love Sri Lanka. It is the biggest creature to have ever lived that we know of in on Earth. It's like 25 meters long. Not sure what that is in feet, but it's humongous, and it's in Sri Lanka that it comes the closest to land because of the way the little chunks of land then reach out into the ocean, and then it just sort of drops off and allows those massive creatures to come so close to where a human may stand. Between the sperm whales at the beginning and the blue whale at the end, we meet colonies of little fish that have taken up residence on shipwrecks that have sunken throughout the centuries, especially during the Second World War, or both World Wars. You can see how they cultivate their own little patch of algae. They say algae. He says algae. I say algae. UK, US, whatever. And they fight off other fish. There's other little tiny fish that actually advertise their services depending on how they swim, that they will help clean out your mouth for a price. The male leads a pack of females, and he advertises. He shakes his little booty to say, "Hey, look, we're here to clean your mouths." And the other fishes stop by, are like, "Okay, sure, let's go." And you see the little blue fish, dig into the bigger fish's mouth, clean out, say, parasites, dead flesh, whatever else. Give them a nice little cleaning, and they zip along. The little blue fish, they get a meal out of it, And the weird thing is that there's a crazy hierarchy in this. The male runs the show here, the services, and the females, which are a little bit smaller, they perform most of the work. It sounds very familiar, but the weird thing is the females fight amongst themselves for dominance in the pack, and pack is probably the wrong term to use. But if the male somehow dies, one of the females will change to male, will become male, change their gender, and then lead the rest of them, assuming that whoever is the dominant one. So yeah, they have that ability. I mean, that's just one of the many, 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 many things that you can see in this thing. One of the most beautiful and also heartbreaking things is the plight of the tortoises. There's like 5 different breeds that work in cycles on the beaches to lay eggs and then head back to the water. And then a few weeks later, the little tortoises, they're so tiny, and they climb out of their shells and they make their way to the ocean. How do they know? I don't know. That is just one of the crazy mysteries, and they have to make it there before sunrise because that's when the predators swoop in, and we get to see them struggle as they head across the dark sand, and we get to see also when the last little few stragglers don't exactly make it. So if you're upset by that kind of thing, you might want to avoid this. But for the most part, this is it's shot beautifully. I kind of wish I had a 4K television. I just want a humongous thing. I just want to have it take over a wall and watch this again. It's shot beautifully. It's voiced wonderfully by Paul McGann, and I think it's a good little thing. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the rest of it, even though there is only 2 more episodes. But I think if I get the urge to put it on, while cleaning or something, maybe I'll do that. We'll see. Anyway, at this point I would normally reach for my tablet to pick another episode, but we're gonna start with something. It's the end of the month. We're gonna start with a special 1-week event to celebrate May the 4th. It's Star Wars, and honestly, besides the one episode we had a few weeks ago, what was it? I can't even remember anymore. We haven't had Star Wars since December, I think, except for that one moment. But we're going to focus not on the things that you probably have seen over and over and over again in the theaters and such. We're going to focus on the vintage Star Wars, which was just added. This is stuff that isn't exactly canon. It isn't exactly... it was thought to be lost forever and never to be added to Disney Plus or made part of anything, part of the official Star Wars galaxy. We're talking about the Ewok movies. We're talking about the Ewok animated series. We're talking about the Genndy Tartakovsky 2D Clone Wars series. And I'm even throwing in a bunch of Rebels shorts at the very end. But in the middle of that, on May 4th, we're going to be watching The Bad Batch, the 70-minute premiere of The Bad Batch, which is an offshoot of the Clone Wars. It follows a bunch of members of the Clone Army after the Clone Wars, and they've got special abilities and skills that most other clones never cultivated, and they didn't get taken down by Order 66. So anyway, that premieres May 4th. We'll be watching that on May 4th. But what's next, what we're going to be watching tomorrow, is Caravan of Courage, the first of the Ewok Endor adventure films made for TV that existed back in the early 80s. So after 83. It had to happen after 83 because, hey, that's when Return of the Jedi came out and we were introduced to Ewoks. So tomorrow, check out the vintage Star Wars section on Disney Plus, and we're starting with Caravan of Courage. Some Ewok fun. All right, we'll see you back here tomorrow.